I'm Ashton Addison from the Crypto Coin Show, and today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Bogdan and George from Blockchain Propertygate. Gentlemen, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Hi, thank you.
I'm excited to dive into real estate in the blockchain. It's a huge industry that is ripe for innovation, and I see it moving into Web3. I feel like the ETF introduction and more mainstream adoption of blockchain is bringing the world one step closer for real-world asset tokenization and real estate in Web3. So I'm excited to dive into what you and your team have built. I would love to start off from the top on just a high level on what exactly is Blockchain Propertygate and what is the mission of the platform, and then we can dive into all the details.
Thank you for having us, Ashton. To first get an idea of what we do and what our mission is, it's worth going a bit more in depth of the current state of the real estate sector and its fundamental problems. It's no secret that real estate has been the best performing investment for the last 140 years. However, few people are actually aware of how the rising prices in the sector are also creating problems on their own. The first of these issues is housing affordability. While it is considered a basic human right by the World Health Organization, the average index measured by comparing the housing costs to disposable income is getting worse. In simple terms, less and less people are able to put aside enough money to get their own home and even pay rent. So this leads us to the question of banks. Everyone knows that it's barely doable to buy your home without a loan. While the historically low interest rates over the last years have provided an easy way for most people, we already saw how fragile the banking system was in 2007. Additionally, these interest rates have started to increase lately, which might lead to the collapse of the whole system if the banking system is too leveraged. People will get their rates indexed and will have to pay more and more. Another issue we're talking about caused by the rising prices is the fact that investments in real estate are getting more and more inaccessible. The capital requirements at this point are just so high that only a handful of people can afford to directly buy a house or an apartment as an investment. Additionally, there are legal hurdles and other things to consider, which makes it even harder. And these issues were the motivation for us to come up with the Blockchain Propertygate project. Our ultimate mission is to reduce the average prices of real estate of up to 30% and thus help in resolving the problem with housing affordability. We believe this is possible via several means. First, by leveraging our extensive experience in both the selection of undervalued properties and their cost-effective and efficient renovation. The second aspect is the advantage offered by blockchain technology in terms of creating a single investment vehicle like the BPG token that provides both access to recurring income amounting to 30% of our net profit, as well as an easy entry to the real estate sector for everyone, without the capital requirements or legal hurdles. You can co-own a real estate project with other token holders easily at a little risk.
Very interesting. And you're right, the requirements for investing by yourself now are just getting a little crazy. I feel like blockchain is a great solution for lowering those barriers to entry. And can you explain a little bit more on exactly who blockchain property is targeted towards? Is it just anyone that wants to invest?
Yeah, sure, Ashton. The blockchain Propertygate is meant for every investor who wants to get into real estate, no matter how big or small. We don't have any entry barriers like capital requirements, and we do not differentiate when it comes to the payouts of the rewards.
Okay, that's good. And as I mentioned, the barriers, if you want to buy a house in some places, you need to have $1 million or take a huge mortgage from the bank. How exactly are you lowering those barriers to entry and the financial level to be able to start investing in real estate?
Well, Under normal circumstances, if you want to invest in real estate, you can either buy the property on your own, participate in a REITs. These are the real estate investment trusts. And both of these options have certain capital requirements, especially the first one. REITs are a good alternative if you don't have capital, but the transparency can sometimes be questionable. Whereas with blockchain, you get a lot higher degree of it. With the BPGT token that costs about €1, everyone can basically acquire an asset that indirectly represents a stake in the properties acquired by us and yields them passive rewards in the process.
And when you integrate the blockchain into real estate, there's many different ways that it's possible to integrate the technology. Can you speak exactly how these two are colliding with the platform?
Sure. The blockchain technology allows us to create an investment vehicle that is superior to all previously available financial instruments. The BPGT token can both represent as an asset indirectly as well as it give passive rewards, and everyone can trace the transaction on the chain, meaning that the utmost degree of transparency is ensured.
Okay, great. And I know that real estate projects are always multi-year projects, huge investments, which take a lot of time as well. And I know that your team has laid out multiple phases for the development. I understand at the beginning you need to raise capital and purchase some real estate. Can you talk about the first phase and exactly what needs to be done to build that foundation?
Of course, it's from the total funding amount that we aim to raise during the initial crowdfunding round. We are planning on dedicating around 65% towards to the purchase of properties and cover our operational costs. We will acquire buildings which are already in a habitable state so that they can be rented out immediately. This will secure the initial cash flow of the company and will lay out of the foundations for our next target. In this phase, we are also planning on acquiring a real estate management company with existing know-how, staff, and operational structures. The company should operate at least 500 to 600 housing units at the time of the acquisition. We will then restructure and adapt the company to our needs and save time and costs compared to build a new real estate company, which is related to high costs and long time frames. We already have the needed knowledge, experience, and human resource capacities to manage it. We will also acquire an additional house management company, which will be responsible for the maintenance of the housing units and any administrative tasks. Together, both companies will be essential for the management of our operational activities.
That's nice to purchase habitable places to, get that incoming cash flow right away, as opposed to just breaking ground, which can take years to get it to a state that it can be rented in. So that's nice to know. And maybe you can lay out a little bit more on the other phases and sort of the holistic roadmap on what's the next phase after phase one and so on.
Yeah, sure. We have 5 key phases for the next 10 years. In phase 2, our first goal is to focus on acquiring approximately 10,000 rental apartments in apartment blocks with at least 10 units. Here we also primarily focus on buildings that are in a habitable state, as these will support the business model better in the early stages. From the moment of purchase, Blockchain Property Gate will start generating rental income, allowing us to quickly generate cash flow for the further operational activities, as well as to facilitate the dividend payouts for the investors, no later than 3 years after the conclusion of the sale. The value appreciation of the asset will further strengthen the financial balance of the company over time. This phase should be completed by the end of the year 3 and also envisions the acquisition of the further additional buildings selected through our methodology. We will also acquire a real estate development company, which will facilitate the later renovation and reselling of the acquired housing units. Phase 2 is where we envision Blockchain Property Gate to start expanding exponentially based on the returns of the reinvestment of the profit made through the operational activities. In phase 3, we planned on extending the scope of phase 2 by fundraising for the acquisition, renovating and renting out or selling 30,000 apartments in total within the first 4 to 6 years. The total expected value of the asset based on the current market price will be valued around 5.5 billion euro. During this phase, we will start the renovation process based on our unique methodology. Between 20 and 30% of the buildings acquired will be renovated within a fixed time frame and sold. Further percentage of the buildings acquired will be renovated and rented out. In phase 4, we will focus on the acquisition of further additional real estate companies and mergers with the exciting legal entities of the blockchain property gate. The goal is to acquire companies that have a considerable number of properties in their portfolio. The establishment will be situated in the DACH area, with Switzerland being one of the main targets due to the favorable tax conditions. We will continue to acquire more properties and expand our operational activities while paying out dividends to our investors. This is where we also start scaling the business model internationally, allowing Blockchain Property Gate to tap into global real estate market and pursue our main mission and goal. In phase 5, we envision to reach one of our major end goals of acquiring a total of 100,000 housing units. We will aim to achieve a total market capitalization of 18.3 billion euro through the operational activities and additional funding rounds until the end of the 10th year, after the launch of the Blockchain Property Gate project.
Wow. It's a lot of capital, but personally, I'm not a real estate investor, though I've dabbled in the blockchain side of it because the barriers to entry are lower. But it is a huge project that sounds like. I'm looking forward to seeing how it develops out with your team. And earlier in the discussion, you also mentioned about the blockchain property gate token and how the crypto works in the platform as well. Could you explain a little bit more on how it's used and how it drives value within the ecosystem?
Yes, of course. The BPGT is an Ethereum-based security token on the ERC 1400 standard. The token gives its holders access to profit-sharing rights of 30% of our net profit and is indirectly backed by real estate assets, because we use the majority of funds collected through its sale to the acquisition of tangible properties. In the future developments, we are planning on implementing the token as a payment method for properties and rent within our planned real estate ecosystem. Additionally, we are planning that BPGT token holders will have exclusive access to our development projects in the future, allowing them to get priority to the properties for sale or for rent, as well as to get a variable discount on these as long as they remain in possession of their tokens throughout the transaction period.
Okay, good to know. Thank you for that. And on those properties that you're purchasing in different phases, is there a certain methodology that you use to utilize which property you select, and what are the characteristics that the project is looking for?
Well, you see, the ultimate goal is to acquire the buildings with the utmost potential when it comes to fulfilling our mission for affordable housing and reaching the highest possible financial growth of the Blockchain Property Gate project, and consecutively maximize the dividend payouts for our investors in the long term. Based on the distinguishable periods of the life cycle of the property, we have derived a total of 50 different criteria that are analyzed together in order to assess the sustainability of the chosen properties. We are selecting real estate projects based on a complex set of variables consisting of both macro and micro environment factors. Macro factors include the conditions that the geographic positioning is offering. We will prioritize regions with a high sustainable economic strength, low unemployment, footwork, and training opportunities. Micro factors include the location of the property and the infrastructural accessibility. Furthermore, we take into account the sustainability aspect that consists of social, ecological, and economic factors, including various criteria such as health compatibility, comfort, safety, well-being, user-friendliness, and many others. We are combining the social and cultural aspects into one cohesive category that will refer to as a socio-cultural dimension. Here is a short description of the three pillars and what they encompass. We have the socio-cultural dimension, which means the social or socio-cultural dimension is primarily concerned with the social effects of the property on the people who use it directly. The ecological dimension means the dimension refers, among other things, to the question of whether and to what extent resources are conserved, harmful environmental emissions are reduced, or aspects such as biodiversity are taken into account. Factors such as the origin of building materials are also taken into account here. The economic dimension means the economic dimension of the chosen real estate investment in the narrower sense comprises the costs and returns likely to be generated over the entire life cycle. Ultimately, the choice of the properties that are selected resides strictly within the framework of the three central dimensions, the macro and the micro environmental factors, and finds the best middle ground between them.
Great. And what kind of partnerships to traditional markets, who are huge players, is the blockchain PropertyGate planning on making to help grow the platform?
Okay. We have established connections to multiple real estate companies, both management and construction, and professionals from the industry already. We are already in negotiations for the acquisition and restructuring of several companies, which will provide the necessary backbone for the blockchain PropertyGate project.
Great. And can you also give more information on the renovation process and how that's going to develop as the phases grow?
Of course, yes. Thanks to our long-standing experience on the real estate market, we have developed a renovation process that ensures high degree of cost efficiency, allowing us to improve our cost structure and thus lower the market price for the buyers and renters, while maximizing our margins. This essentially leads to a higher net profit and better rewards for BPG token holders. Normally, redevelopment and renovation usually starts from the outside walls, which means long permitting processes. The properties we are targeting have been constructed with thick walls and can be renovated from the inside out due to the resilient structure. This greatly reduces our development and legal costs, shortens the project completion timeframes, and allows us to maximize our revenues in a timely manner. A unique feature will be the flexible modular approach and the property renovation procedure. We will renovate the buildings we acquire in such a way that the internal walls could be changed, allowing the rooms to be quickly and easily adjusted based on the specific preferences of the buyers and the tenants. The added level of flexibility allows us to quickly adjust the property so that it can be resold or rented out in shorter timeframes, improving our turnover. Furthermore, the properties will be renovated in line with the utmost degree of environmental efficiency in terms of the materials used, as well as the energy efficiency coefficient. Future legislation in Germany will put more weight and importance on these factors. Moreover, the rising energy prices encourage an increasing incentive to pursue energy decentralization and independence of separate housing complexes. With the introduction of new concepts such as microgrids and the advancements in renewable energy technologies, we are planning on positioning our real estate projects as a staple in the industry when it comes to autarky.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing those phases develop and all this work come to fruition. And gentlemen, where is the best place for people to follow along with the updates and learn more about blockchain PropertyGate?
So they can check our website where you will find our white paper, our one-pager, our social media channels on blockchain-property-gate.com.
Sounds great. And I can leave those links in the show notes below as well for the viewers to make it easy to find. I thank you so much, both of you, for your information on real estate, blockchain, the innovations of merging them together. All the best with blockchain PropertyGate moving forward, and let's definitely follow up in the near future.
Thank you, Ashton. Thank you for your time.